Esta es la lección número 8 acerca de routine and free time, rutina y tiempo libre para English for Everyone Level 3 Practice Book. Ok, voy a compartir mi pantalla. Aquí estamos. Routine and free time. You can use adverbs and frequency to talk accurately about your daily routine and how often you do work and leisure activities. Okay. All right. Se puede usar adverbios y frecuencia para hablar acerca de tu rutina diaria y con cuánta frecuencia haces trabajo y actividades para diversión, algo así. En esta actividad, dice find 7 adverbs of frequency in the grid. Ok, si ustedes quieren hacer esta actividad, pueden buscar las palabras que hay aquí. Aquí hay uno often. Adverbs, adverbios, son así, son, ok, ejemplos de adverbs sería often, frequently, um, um, como all the time, sometimes, never, etc. ¿Ok? Así son adverbs, adverbios. All right. Y en esta actividad deben buscar 7 adverbios aquí in the word search. Okay. All right. Pero yo no lo voy a hacer, sino voy a seguir adelante. Okay, en esta actividad, rewrite the sentences putting the words in the correct order. Okay. Here the words are mixed up, okay, and we need to put them in the correct order in order to make sentences. So in this one, usually for work at 9 a.m. he leaves. We rearrange this like this. He usually leaves for work at 9 a.m. All right, he usually leaves for work at 9 a.m. How about this one? Movies go the once a week to I. Okay. It's gonna be I go to the movies once a week. I go to the movies once a week. All right. Well, I go to the movies once a week. Voy al cine una vez a la semana. Okay. I go to the movies once a week. Ok, voy a comentar algo. Normalmente, ¿cómo se forma una frase? ¿Cómo sabemos dónde poner el adverbio en la frase? Normalmente, el adverbio, the adverb, goes before the verb. Okay, so he usually leaves. This is the adverb, this is the verb. He usually leaves for work at 9 a.m. All right. He usually leaves for work at 9 a.m. Okay, there's an exception when we are using the verb to be. Okay, so I am, you are, he is, etc. The adverb is going to go in a different spot. The adverb is going to go, let's do this example. Never work is he for late. All right. Never work is he for late. It's going to be he. Okay. He is never late for work. He is never late for work. Okay. Entonces the adverb never goes after the verb. Here's the verb is, the adverb goes after. He is never late for work. He is never late for work. Entonces, hay una excepción cuando usamos el verbo to be. Ok, pero normalmente es así. He usually, adverb first, and afterwards the verb. He usually leaves for work at 9 a.m. All right. Aquí hacemos otro ejemplo. Frequently after eat day 7 p.m. Okay. They, all right. The the subject, they, then the adverb, frequently, then the verb eat after 7 p.m. They frequently eat after 7 p.m. Okay. They frequently eat after 7 p.m. All right. Cook always eye dinner nearly. Cook always eye dinner nearly. All right. This one is going to be I nearly always cook dinner. I nearly always cook dinner. ¿Por qué es nearly always? Nearly always es, is an adverb. Significa casi siempre. Yo casi siempre cocino cena. I nearly always cook dinner. Casi siempre. Okay? I nearly always cook dinner. Yo casi siempre cocino cena. Occasionally works overseas she. All right. First, we have the subject, she. And then we have the adverb, occasionally. Whoops, spelled that wrong. Occasionally. She occasionally. Then we have the verb, works. And then we have overseas. She occasionally works overseas. All right. Okay. Let's keep going here. Mark the sentences that are correct. I wear hardly ever a suit and tie, or I hardly ever wear a suit and tie. It's going to be I hardly ever wear a suit and tie, because here we have the adverb that comes first, hardly ever. Casi nunca significa hardly ever. All right. I wear hardly ever a suit and tie. No, I hardly ever wear a suit and tie. All right. Adverb, then the verb. Otra cosa que quería explicar que se me olvidó hacer. Ok, si decimos aquí, he never is late for work, también es correcto. También es correcto, solamente es más normal, se escucha más así. He is never late for work. Así es la manera más normal para decirlo. Pero si dices he never is late for work, también se puede. Si quieres poner énfasis en la palabra never. He never is late for work. Como estamos enfatizando ese punto, ¿no? He never is late for work. You always are late. Okay? You are always late, but you always are late. Es como estamos diciendo fuerte esa palabra. Sí se puede. Se escucha menos, pero sí también está bien. Y muchas veces es así. Si con el verbo to be, si queremos poner el adverbio, ¿cómo es? The adverb, el adverbio, creo, antes del verbo, sí es correcto, no es incorrecto, sino, sino es más natural, es más normal poner el adverb después del verbo. Okay. All right. Vamos a seguir aquí. I wear hardly ever a suit and tie, or I hardly ever wear a suit and tie. It's going to be I hardly ever wear a suit and tie. She gets home sometimes late, or she sometimes gets home late. She gets home sometimes late, or she sometimes gets home late. It's going to be she sometimes, because the adverb, this is the adverb, this is the verb, so the adverb goes first. He almost never goes to the gym, or he goes almost never to the gym. All right, here's the adverb, almost never, casi nunca. So it's going to be this one. He almost never goes to the gym. They very often are at home, or they are very often at home. All right. This one, to me, it could be either one. Cualquiera está bien. Pero, because it's the verb to be, it usually is going to go after. Here's the verb, here's the adverb. So it's going to be like this one. They are very often at home. Okay. He hardly ever takes a bath, or he has hardly takes a bath. Este no tiene sentido porque dice él casi nunca toma un baño o se baña. No funciona. He hardly ever takes a bath. Here's the adverb, and here's the verb. That one's correct. He is always on time, or he always is on time. Otra vez, cualquier está bien. Si quieres decir he always is on time, está bien. Pero más normal, más natural es así. He is always on time. Porque el adverb sigue el verbo. He rarely goes for a walk, or he goes rarely for a walk. This one is going to be he rarely goes for a walk. Adverb comes first. You frequently stay out late, or you stay frequently out late. Right? You frequently stay out late. I nearly walk always to work, or I nearly always walk to work. Number 2, nearly always, casi siempre. We occasionally go out for lunch, or we go occasionally out for lunch. Here's the adverb. This one is going to be correct. She plays regularly tennis. She regularly plays tennis. Here's the adverb. Here's the verb. So it's going to be number 2. They never go on vacation, or they go never on vacation. All right. They never go on vacation. Never. Adverb, then verb. He goes rarely to the doctor, or he very rarely goes to the doctor. Going to be this one. He very rarely goes to the doctor. You are hardly ever late, or you hardly are ever late. All right, it's going to be you are hardly ever late. The adverb goes, this is the verb to be. The adverb goes after the verb to be. We regularly visit our uncle, or we visit regularly our uncle. All right, the adverb goes first. We regularly visit our uncle. She often goes to the park, or she goes often to the park. She often goes to the park. All right, match the phrases with similar meanings. Okay, en esta actividad vamos a match las parejas aquí que tienen significados similares. Okay. All the time. Bueno, dame un momento. Voy a tomar un poquito. I'm gonna take a break. A break just for a minute. Okay, vamos a seguir. Here we are. Match the phrases with similar meanings. Okay. All the time means always. Okay, all the time. Todo el tiempo. Siempre. Okay. None of the time. ¿Qué significa none of the time? None of the time. Um, nada del tiempo, algo así. Significa never, nunca, none of the time. Almost never. Almost never significa rarely. Rarely. Almost never, casi nunca, rarely. Rarely. Sometimes significa um, sometimes significa algo como occasionally, aunque para mí no es igual porque sometimes para mí significa algo un poco más regular que occasionally, pero es la opción más similar que tenemos. O sea, occasionally para mí sería como de vez en cuando y sometimes sería mm, a veces, algo así. Um, entonces para mí ocurre más sometimes, pero es lo más similar que tenemos. Most of the time, most of the time, ok, sería regularly and usually son muy similares, ok, son muy similares. Vamos a poner aquí usually, porque most of the time, la mayoría del tiempo, usually significa normalmente, ok, usualmente. Frequently, frecuentemente, significa regularly, regularmente. All right, let's keep going. Rewrite the sentences correcting the errors. I visit my cousin hardly ever. All right. Visit my cousin hardly ever should be I hardly ever visit my cousin. Here is the adverb, here's the verb. All right. I go almost never to the theater. All right. We're going to put the adverb first. I almost never go to the theater. I almost never go to the theater. Y bueno, voy a estar yendo como he estado haciendo un poco rápido. Entonces, si ustedes en cualquier momento quieren hacer pausa, quieren practicar los ejercicios, ya después pueden como parar para escucharme, para escuchar la explicación. Pero si quieren hacer pausa aquí y practicar, sería buena idea porque yo sí voy un poco rápido. Okay, he gets nearly always to work early. He gets nearly always to work early. He nearly always, adverb, gets to work early. He nearly always, adverb, gets, verb, to work early. I watch occasionally a movie in the evening. I occasionally watch a movie in the evening. All right. Adverb, verb. I occasionally watch a movie in the evening. She rarely is late for work. Ok, se puede así, pero suena mejor así. She is rarely late for work. Normalmente suena mejor así. She is rarely late for work. Adverb goes after the verb to be. They have sometimes a party in December. They sometimes, adverb, have, verb, a party in December. She has very often a sandwich for lunch. It's going to be she very often has a sandwich for lunch. They work rarely on the weekend. They rarely work on the week. Rarely is the adverb. You often are tired when you get to work. You often are tired when you get to work. You are often tired when you get to work. Un poco mejor así. You are often tired when you get to work. Normalmente, un poco mejor así. I ask frequently my boss for help. I frequently ask my boss for help. She takes occasionally the train to work. Right? Adverb first. She occasionally takes the train to work. I have almost never time to cook in the evening. It's going to be I almost never, casi nunca have time to cook in the evening. All right, let's keep going. Listen to the audio and answer the questions. Lucy is talking to her friend about her new job. Lucy is happy to go to work every day. True or false? It says that is true. I'm going to go ahead and look up the audio here and play the audio so we can do this one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play the audio. Y voy a ir un poco rápido, entonces si quieren escuchar el audio ya, pueden hacerlo en el sitio web dkefe.com y pueden hacer ya las respuestas, porque yo voy a ir rápido.
So, how is your new job going, Lucy? It's great. I love it. I'm happy to go to work every day. How are you finding the new systems and procedures? I often ask my colleagues for help, as there is a lot I don't know. What hours do you work? The hours are 9 to 6. I am never late. In fact, I'm often early. And what are the perks or the good sides of the job? I regularly travel abroad, which I love. Last month, I went to Dubai. It was amazing. Wow, that sounds exciting. And I get to entertain clients. I sometimes take them to restaurants, and it's all paid for by work. It sounds like they are treating you well. They are. I like to do my bit too. I very often take pastries into the office. Well, it sounds like your new job is going great. It is.
Awesome. All right. Así son las respuestas a esta actividad. Okay. 8.7. Say the sentences out loud, putting the adverbs of frequency in the correct place. It rains in July often. Okay. It often rains in July. I go to the dentist hardly ever. All right. The adverb goes before the verb. I hardly ever go to the dentist. I hardly ever go to the dentist. All right. He plays hockey with Ken occasionally. He occasionally plays hockey with Ken. Adverb goes here. He occasionally plays hockey with Ken. They have breakfast at 7 a.m. usually. Adverb goes before the verb. They usually have breakfast at 7 a.m. I make the dinner almost never is going to be I almost never make the dinner. I almost never make the dinner. She is at work in the evening very often. All right. She is very often at work in the evening. She is the verb to be, so adverb goes after, very often at work in the evening. If you said she very often, is at work in the evening. También es correcto, pero esta opción es lo más natural. All right. Read the email and answer the questions. Esta es la última actividad que tenemos. Vamos a leer aquí el email y contestar las preguntas. How often did Bobby see his friends in London? Bobby hardly ever saw his friends in London. Okay. I hardly ever saw my friends. How often was Bobby tired? All right. Hi, Ben. You asked me how I came to Australia. I used to be a nurse in London. Life was very stressful. I almost always worked evenings and weekends. I hardly ever saw my friends, and I was always tired. How often was Bobby tired? Bobby was always tired. Bobby was always tired. Always. Let me make this a little bigger. Bobby was always tired. All right. Then, what did he see while he was in London? Then I saw an advertisement for nurses to work in Australia. All right. He used to be a nurse in London, and then he saw an advertisement for nurses to work in Australia. So I think this one is going to be, what did he see while he was in London? An advertisement for nurses to work in Australia. All right. I applied and got the job. I was so excited. How long has he been in Australia? I have been here for 6 years and life is great. I now work in a children's hospital. I have been here for 6 years. 6 years. How often does he have to work evenings or weekends? I have been here for 6 years and life is great. I now work in a children's hospital. I sometimes have to work evenings or weekends, but it's not all the time. I sometimes have to work evenings or weekends. Sometimes have to work evenings or weekends, but it's not all the time. Sometimes. Sometimes he works evenings or weekends. When does he usually finish work in Australia? Most days I finish at 8 p.m. Most days I finish at 8 p.m. Okay, most days, la mayoría de los días. When does he usually finish work in Australia? Cuando usualmente termina de trabajar? I usually finish at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. All right. How often does he email or video call family and friends? I miss my family and friends, so I regularly email or video call them. How often does he email or video call them? Regularly. 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 Frecuentemente. How often does his family visit him? My family visits once a year, and every 2 years I go back to Britain. My family visits once a year. My family visits once a year. How often does his family visit him? Once a year. Una vez al año. Una vez al año. Ok. Con eso terminamos la actividad número 8, la lección número 8 acerca de routine and free time. We will be in this next lesson learning about everyday activities. Thank you guys and see you next time.